Hello and good evening. My name is Ashley Johnson and I'm the Business and Outreach Librarian at the Vernon Area Library. And I'm so happy to have you all here. We are going to learn a little bit about selling things online from our speaker, Michael Gershenbein. So he is the founder of technology training firm Very Smart People and a former librarian who believes that if personal technology isn't fun and easy to use, it doesn't make our lives better, then it's probably not worth using. And I agree very much with that statement. So with that, Mike, I'll hand it over to you and I'll go blank. You should be able to share your screen. Let me know if you have if you need anything. I'll be right here. Great. Behind the screen.
Thanks for coming, everyone. My name is Mike Gershenbein, and I have a technology training company called Very Smart People, and I teach throughout Chicagoland. I go to people's homes, work with them one-on-one, teach at a lot of libraries, senior centers, adult ed places, things like that. Couple of notes before I launch into things. First of all, I do have both the chat room and the Q&A over here on my right. You'll see me constantly glancing over there to monitor things. I also look at my slides and notes over there as well, in case you're wondering why I keep looking over there. So please do ask questions in the chat room, and I will answer them when appropriate. I'm going to go ahead and put my name into the chat room. I'm going to put my email into the chat room, mike@vspchicago.com. I am going to upload a handout. Actually, I won't upload a handout because I don't have that as an option here. I'm going to put a link to a Google Drive version of the handout so you can download it if you want. And oh, actually, you know what? I didn't include you. I am going to retype those all. Hold on a sec. Mike Gershenbein, mike@vspchicago.com, and link to the handout if you want it. You don't need to have it, but it just brings together some of my main points. One more thing I do like to mention is that, like all of you, I am dependent upon the technology at hand and my internet service provider, which tends to be pretty dependable. They're pretty good. RCN, they're not everywhere, but they do a good job, which is not to say that tonight won't be the night I get kicked off or something else terrible happens. So certainly if that happens, hang tight, hang loose, stay on, and I will try to get back on as quickly as I can. So today we're talking about online selling, and you've probably been locked in your house long enough that you're sick of all the stuff taking up space, and you may or may not be able to have a garage sale. You probably weren't able to have one last year. This year, maybe not, we'll see. Or maybe, you know, you don't want to have a garage sale. I'll tell you, my mother loves garage sales because she loves meeting the neighbors. 3 days worth of meeting the neighbors. She loves that kind of stuff. Personally, I just want to sell my stuff, get it out of my house, and move on with my life. So, you know, depending on what you're interested in. But the nice thing about the internet, though, is all this kind of stuff you've accumulated, even if it's obscure, you've got a bigger audience out there than just putting in front of your house. You know, if you got a pans that don't match lids, or lids that don't match pans, or leftover art supplies, any of this kind of stuff, there's probably somebody looking for it. So you've got a whole world out there of people that you can potentially get stuff to. One of the things I spend probably a majority of my time, I guess majority, is eBay. So I will certainly be leading off with eBay and talking about eBay, but I'm also going to hit some other options that are kind of nice out there, especially if you're looking for more of a nearby neighborly type thing. So let's dive into this. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. You should be able to see my slides. So the main ones I'm going to be talking about, and I will mention a couple other kind of smaller things at the end. Somebody, last 2 times I've done this class, somebody brought up each of those times one place that I don't mention that I've responded to. I'm going to see if you guys bring it up. Anyway, but I do mention some others besides these, but these are the main kind of options that I'm going to cover because they are, I think, some of the biggest and best options for selling your stuff online: eBay, Craigslist, Facebook, Nextdoor, and I will say Amazon I mentioned because I feel obliged to mention it, but I really don't go deep into Amazon because I really don't think it's a good option for you compared to a lot of these. And one thing I will mention also is this class is really designed for individuals with stuff in their house. It's not really for if you have a small business and you're trying to do that stuff. Now you can use some of these for a small business. eBay, a lot of stores have storefronts on eBay, so it's actually a good place to sell and get stuff in front of people. That being said, the rules for it for if you've got a store are a little bit different from the rules for individual sellers, which is really what we're going to be talking about. So when it comes to eBay, it's been around a long, long time. Some of you have quite possibly used it to buy stuff, or maybe you've even tried selling stuff on it. So a lot of users. It's indexed by Google, so stuff that's being sold on eBay is potentially out there for people to find. It is a little bit more complicated to use than some of the other things I'm going to be talking about. Complicated to figure out how to price, complicated as far as how to list stuff, and it does cost a decent amount of money to use it. Now, Craigslist has been around pretty much as long as eBay, and it's really kind of the online version of your newspaper classifieds. It's kind of taken the place because we don't have a lot of that out there. It is mostly free to list on Craigslist. It is mostly a local product. They're Craigslist in individual towns. It's a well-known quantity, so people know about Craigslist. The site is fairly ugly, though. It looks basically like it did 10 years ago. And some of the people that you interact with on Craigslist can be sketchy. It has a reputation for those types of people. Now, Facebook is out there with their marketplace product, and they have other things as well that are options. It is free to use, although you have to have a Facebook account in order to use it. And over 2.5 billion users worldwide, so pretty good market potential. It's still fairly new, and even though it's been around a couple of years now, but it's growing, but not everybody knows it or thinks about it. Now, Nextdoor it's a nice option for if you're looking to sell locally. It's free to use, and it has kind of a trustworthy reputation. You only have exposure to really your town and a few other towns around you, so it does kind of potentially limit your exposure, but it's a nice kind of fairly new option for you if you haven't looked at it recently or at all. Now, Amazon, as I said, Amazon is Amazon, so it's a lot of different users, and it's listed on Google. It is expensive to list items and sell items on it. It's not necessarily friendly towards a small user, and it can be a little bit complicated to understand. So I tend to breeze by Amazon. So let's start with eBay, good old eBay. So eBay, site for buying and selling. You can sell stuff around the world. My wife had a knee, she had surgery, and she had to wear a brace for her hip. And she listed this brace. It was $15, something like that. And the first offer she got was from somebody in the UK. Would have cost more to ship it to them than the actual price of it. So anyway, you can sell around the world. You can sell in the US. You can sell locally. You can list items and say it's for local pickup only. And that's useful if you have something like a car or a couch. Most people on eBay, though, they're looking to ship stuff when they sell it. And like I was kind of getting at earlier, a lot of new stuff on eBay as well. It doesn't have to be used stuff, although certainly used merchandise is probably a majority of what's being sold by individuals out there. Collectibles, I'm always a little bit wary about talking too much about collectibles with online selling. The reason being that if you're selling antiques or collectibles, you really need to make sure that you have some type of certification that they are what you say they are, that Monet is actually a real Monet, and the boxing gloves signed by Muhammad Ali is actually signed by Muhammad Ali. So you do want to be careful if you're selling that stuff. So the way eBay prices things, and by the way, if some of you have tried or selling on eBay or have sold on eBay in the past, the way that eBay charges and handles money has shifted over the last year. So this may be a little bit different from what you were used to or what you last used. For those of you who haven't tried to sell at all, that's totally irrelevant to you, but I'm just letting you know for those of you who this may sound a little bit different. In the past, you used to have to set up a PayPal account for yourself, and there were separate fees involved. Now the way that eBay charges you is it is free to list your items, which is the same, but eBay then charges you what's called a final value fee for when that item finally sells. And most items that they charge you 12.55% of that final fee plus 30 cents. Certain items, in my case, this irritates me because I sell a lot of Blu-rays and DVDs and CDs, and the final value fee is 14.55% plus 30 cents. So there are a few other kind of specific areas that it's different. Most are 12.55%. So you sell something for $100, eBay is going to take a $12.85 cut of that $100 thing that you sold. So you're going to walk away with $87 for the $100 item that you sold. Now you're going to have to potentially pay for packing supplies. In my case, I tend to accumulate stuff I've gotten from Amazon, stuff I've gotten from eBay and other packaging. So in my basement, I've got boxes and peanuts and and all that kind of stuff. You'll probably have to buy packing tape. That's one thing that likely you'll have to buy. You'll have to buy other packing supplies if you're not gathering them up, so that can eat into your money. I do like to mention sales tax. This really doesn't affect you as a seller. eBay, when it's appropriate, will collect state sales tax for people who are buying stuff. So they'll get the final bill for the item that they purchased from you, and it'll ask them to pay sales tax as well. You don't even see that, so you don't even know what that is. Somebody could come back to you and say, "Why are you doing this?" Something like that. That's never happened to me. And if that happens, it's eBay rules. It's just what eBay does. eBay collects sales tax and hands it over to the state. Now, people shopping on eBay will have the option to buy with PayPal, with a credit card, with Apple Pay, with Google Pay, which is nice. This is a shift from how it was about a year ago, where they could only pay with PayPal. And then you go ahead, somebody goes ahead and buys this thing, they send their money, and then you will go and first thing you'll do is purchase the shipping, when we'll talk more about shipping later, and you print out the label from your computer, and then the money that they sent for the actual price of the item that they bought, plus the shipping that they're paying, gets directly put into your checking account within 1 to 4 days. So when you're, I should mention that if you already have an eBay account set up for buying, you don't need to set up a separate account. It's not like you need to set up a seller account. But once you start selling on eBay, they'll ask you to link your checking account to it, and that way you can get paid this money within 1 to 4 days, and it's just automatically billed into your, or it's automatically placed into your checking account when these people pay this money, which is also different from how it was about a year ago. eBay's handling all the kind of financial transactions now versus PayPal. Now, one of the nice things about eBay is that when you communicate with buyers, it's all done through the site. There are issues with buying or selling, eBay's handling those issues with people. So you're not giving out your email and things like that. You are talking with people directly, but eBay's kind of the intermediary for handling the conversations. You can offer reviews of buyers. They can offer reviews of you, so you can kind of gather a reputation, hopefully a positive reputation over time. I do recommend you do this. The buyers also, it'll help them if there are ever kind of future issues with buying or selling. It'll kind of whether they have reviews or not, that will potentially help them. So that's nice to do. So when you're listing stuff on eBay, the main process involves coming up with a title, which is limited to about 80 characters, a longer description. I sell, once again, I sell a lot of music CDs, so I'll put a description of the CD, and then I'll go to Amazon or something like that and cut out the copy and paste the whole description from Amazon, paste that into my eBay listing. You'll want to put up pictures. You can put up to 12 pictures. You can put up, and you should put up everything from features, zoom in on a feature, or flaws. You want people to know if and you're going to want to mention it as well, that there's a chip in that plate, something like that. So you can put up a bunch of pictures. Now, one of the big decisions you're going to have to make when you list an item is whether to list at auction or buy it now. And you can actually put them both as options. And once the auction starts, buy it now is no longer an option. So auction is kind of the typical way people think about eBay, where you come up with a starting price for the auction. A lot of people will say $0 as a starting price because buyers will say, oh, $0, I'll be able to get it really cheap. And hopefully the bidding goes up. But you can start it at any price. You can start the auction at $50, whatever. And then the auction is a little bit hard to understand, but generally the way that it works, somebody comes in and bids $25 on an item that you have listed. eBay won't actually start the bidding at $25. They'll start at something like $5, and they'll only increase the bids when somebody else comes in and bids. So if you bid basically a ceiling of $25 and somebody else, it'll start the bidding at $5. Somebody else comes in and bids $10. Then the bid will go up to $10. That first person still has the high bid because they set a ceiling of $25. And until somebody comes in and bids 30 or 40, something higher than that first bidder's ceiling, until that second person comes in and bids higher, it's not going to go above that ceiling. So, the auction is an incremental auction. Something to keep in mind. Buy it now, I think, is a little more popular. I prefer buy it now. My sense is I'll figure out how much I want to get for an item, and I'll list it at that as a buy it now price. And then it's just for sale. I want to list this item for $80. I put it out there with a buy it now price of $80, and people can offer me $80 for it. Now, we'll talk a little bit about how you can decide to price the items from the start. We'll talk about that when we go in. Now, most auctions, the default is 7 days. You can go up to 10 days on an auction. And actually, if something goes unsold, they'll renew it for you. They'll restart the auction a few times. But the auctions are a limited amount of time, whereas the buy it now, it stays up there until an item is sold. So, I have a movie that I've had up there for a few months now, and nobody's made me an offer. I'm not in a hurry to get rid of it, so I don't really care. I just have it sitting up there, and it's lasting as long as I want. If you're in a hurry to sell stuff, then there are other potential options for you. For example, you can do a best offer, the best offer option. So if I have something that I have listed for $80, I'd really prefer to get $80 as a buy it now, but I'm willing to accept $60, say. I can say that I'm willing to look at a best offer, and I'll set a number. They won't see it. Buyers won't see it. It'll be the number that's my minimum number. And if somebody offers me $50, I won't even see that offer. If I said 60, and somebody offers me 65, I'll get an email saying somebody's offered me $65. Do I want to accept it? And I can either counter offer, or I can accept that offer and sell it to them. So that's an option for you. If you're trying to get a bunch of money, but you're willing to sell for something. Now, another option for you is setting a reserve price. So in that case, what you can do is set an auction, for example, of $100, or say that you want to get at least $50 on an item that you're selling. Okay. So you've got this auctioned item. You want to get at least $50 for it. You can start the bidding at $0, but set a reserve price for $50, and then the auction won't actually kick in until the bidders bid over that reserve price. And they don't know what the reserve price is. They just see $0 and they say, oh, I want to get this item. They go in and they bid $10, and it'll say you have not met the reserve price yet. So until that auction is kind of pushed up above the reserve price, they won't actually have a live auction. So the reserve price is a good way to ensure that you get a minimum amount of money in an auction. But as you can see here, there's a fee to do it, $5 or 7.5% of the reserve price, whichever one is higher. Now, one other thing you're going to have to think about is shipping, and we'll talk about that in a little more detail when we go in. But eBay figures out the shipping prices for you, determines based on where people live. You can say which services you want to use and what type of, postal service, UPS, FedEx. You can say which type you want to use. And then you don't have to use eBay to print your shipping labels, but they'll give you a little bit of a discount, and it's all kind of integrated. So it works very nicely that you print out the shipping label after this item is sold from your home printer, slap it on the package, and then go ahead and drop off the package at the post office or wherever. Now, one thing that some people will do is offer free shipping as a perk. So if you know that this item is only going to cost you $5 to ship, something like that, you can offer it as a perk. You know, you just have to be careful that you're not going to get nailed for some huge amount of shipping, but they'll tell you beforehand what the range is for shipping. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and go into eBay and walk through a listing. You do need to have an account on eBay in order to sell. They take you know, email and phone number, a couple of different personal items. Like I said, you'll have to match up your checking account with it in order to sell on it. So you will need to set up an account. Now, one thing I want to point out, before I sell anything, I want to get a clue of how much money I want to get for it. So one of the things I like to do is just do a search on eBay for the item that I'm looking for. I'll search for Monex. This is what I always do. Monex pedalware. I'll just search for Monex pedalware. It's depression glass. My wife collects it. Now, I want to point out a couple things. I just did a search for Monex pedalware on eBay, and so these are items that are for sale under Monex pedalware. And obviously, I did a very broad search, but maybe I'm going through here and I can find the things I'm looking for. So 9-inch dinner plates, I can see, you know, maybe I'm selling 4 9-inch dinner plates, just like this person. I can see that they're selling it for $35.91 plus $16 in shipping. 29 people watching this, people who are looking at it can put on their watch list. Now, what's important about this is I don't actually know what this is going to sell for. It doesn't, that's how much it's listed for, but it may be listed for a year and maybe it's overpriced and nobody's willing to buy it. So one thing you can do on eBay, which is really, really useful, is you can click that you only want to see sold items. And that way it'll bring up items that have sold on eBay and it will say how much they sold for. So I can see this plate actually looks like it was up for auction. One person bid and it went for $9.99 with $10 shipping. So, you know, once you kind of say that you only want to see things that have sold, you'll see what people actually paid for items, which is a really much more useful way of figuring out how to list your items than just seeing what else is listed out there, which is useful because, you know, you can see who you're competing against and maybe price your item a little bit lower. But if you really want a sense of how much stuff is being sold for, then you can take a, wow, 99 cents for all those plates. It seems hard to believe. Anyway, you can do that. Now, another thing I want to point out is that, let's say you go out there and you find that item that you're looking to sell. So let's say I'm looking to sell this plate and there's one just like it out there. On all the items that are listed out there, there is a little link with them that says sell one like this. And what that does when you click on it is it starts to pre-fill the form that you need to fill out in order to sell the item that you're selling that's one like this. So it's like a shortcut for filling out the form that you're going to have to fill out in order to sell. So it's a nice thing to do if you find one. You can edit it, but I'm going to click sell one like this. And you'll see I get a form that is already pre-filled with a bunch of stuff. At the top, it's got a category, which I can change, but in this case, they went with category depression glass, Macbeth Evans, pedalware. So maybe that's fine, or maybe I want to change it. It took this whole title there and put it in there. I can edit it, cut stuff out, whatever I want. I don't have to go with that. And then there's a section for item specifics. These are different for all the different categories. In this case, for depression glass, there's specific details that I can choose. I can change those if I want. So it starts me on the form with some pre-populated stuff. That being said, you also have an option when you go into eBay to just start a form from scratch if you're selling. So going into eBay here, just from nowhere. Oh, come on. I didn't want to see you again. I wanted to go somewhere else. There we go. I've got an option at the top here that says sell. I'll click on that because I want to sell an item. List for free. So that's great. I'll list an item. What am I selling? If you've got something in a box and it has a code on it, you could put that code on it and it should bring up the item. I'll just type in the words Monex pedalware and I'll just say go. We'll leave it at that. And they'll find a category for me. This is the category they chose. I can change if I feel like it's not correct. They'll prompt me to put in some specific details. You don't have to, there are some that are often required, but most of them you don't have to necessarily fill out. Depression glass, type of glass, depression glass. I'll fill out some. You know, you're listing a car, it'll have mileage and manufacturer, things like that. I'll go ahead and say next. Condition, it's used, it's 100 years old. And just took the words that I put in for my search, but I can go ahead and change this. For Monax pedalware, depression, glass, saucers, perfect condition. Yeah, anything that I think will get people's eyes. White, whatever, up to 80 characters, as many details as you can put in the title as possible. These are those things I filled out before. You know, some of these are optional. I don't have to put a style or anything like that, but those are the item specifics. And then this is where we add the photos. Now, I will say that this is one thing that is easier to do from your phone using the app, or from your tablet using the app, because then you can just take a bunch of photos with your phone or the app and put them in that way. If you do it from your computer, it's not that big a deal, but you do have to get your photos on the computer, either by emailing them from your phone or just other ways of having them on your computer. But it works like every other website, where I'm going to say I'm adding it from my computer. And I will find the photos that I've got. I'll choose to upload them. And there they are, including close-ups and all kinds of views of stuff in different angles. Then earlier I'd said, you know, you can do a long description. You make this quite long. And once again, if you can find details somewhere else in the internet, if you're selling something that has a lot of details, copy it, paste it in here, and make it as long as you need to. Then we get to the challenging part, which is figuring out how you want to price the things and how you want to sell it. I will tell you that eBay likes to recommend a type of pricing for you, and I almost always disagree with it. So in this case, eBay is recommending a 7-day auction with a starting bid of 99 cents. In my case, I wouldn't want to auction this, and I probably wouldn't want it to start at 99 cents. I can hit change, and that gives me all of the options for pricing. So maybe I want to put in an auction and I want to start it at $0. I can click on more options here and do things like change how long the auction goes, or reserve price, which I had mentioned, you know, allows you to, for a fee, to set a reserve price for the auction. You can have both an auction and buy it now at the same time, but once somebody starts the auction, buy it now doesn't apply anymore. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the auction and turn on buy it now. And I'm going to say that I want this priced at $20. But I'm willing to listen to offers, allow offers. Somebody wants to offer me 15, I won't necessarily turn them down. So I'll say allow offers at 15. And that's that. So you do need to choose one of those two. Then we get to shipping. Now, when you are preparing your item for eBay, you'll want to put it in the package that you're going to use, bundle it up. Don't tape it yet, but, you know, get it ready to go so you can measure it and weigh it. Helps to have a little scale at home. You can go in here. Here's shipping. I'm going to go ahead and hit change on this one and say this package is 3 pounds, 5 ounces, and then the dimensions are 8 by 4 by 6. eBay will give me a recommended shipping service, and it'll show me the range. So if I sent this priority mail, depending on where the person is located, you know, if they're in Lincolnwood, maybe it costs $9.55 to ship it. If they're in California, maybe it's $20 to ship it. But this kind of pricing is only, you'll see the range as a seller, but the actual price that they would pay, the buyer would pay, that's what they would see. So if I was in California, it cost me $20 to get it shipped, I would see that it cost me $20. There's not a range. If you want, you can do it so that you pay it, and that's free shipping. But most cases, you're just gonna do the buyer pays. If you want to, you can change the shipping service. They'll show you your various options. They'll show you the range for how much they cost. Come on. There we go. So you can see, you know, if you wanted to use UPS or you wanted to use FedEx or Priority Mail, the free boxes and envelopes, that are available at the postal service that are set amounts of prices. You know, maybe that's appealing because it's a lot cheaper if stuff will fit in there. You can choose one of those options and put it in there for shipping. Now, one other thing I'll mention is they do have local pickup as an option if you're selling something for picking up. You know, I tend to assume most things you're selling on eBay are going to be shipped. And that's it. And then you can go ahead and list the item. As long as nobody's made any kind of bids or anything, you can make changes to the item. Okay, so that's selling on eBay in a nutshell. What kind of questions before I move on to the next thing do you have in the chat room or the Q&A? And if you don't have anything now, that's fine. Or sometimes people are typing slowly and it'll get caught up. But you know, I'm happy to go back to this and either at the end of the class or when I'm halfway into the next thing. So I will keep my eyes peeled. What does it mean when it says sponsor on the listing? On the listing itself, you can do, I think what you're referring to is you can pay extra to have it rise to the top. I almost never do that, but let me see where they do that as an option. I don't actually remember. That's an extra fee to get your thing to rise to the top of listings. And I don't remember where it is, but I can tell you that it's in there. It's in there somewhere. Let me see. Maybe it's in here. I mean, honestly, I never do it, so I can't say. So what she's asking, what Wendy was asking, is sometimes when you go in and you do a search, you'll see something says it's a sponsored item. That means that people have paid extra money for it to appear higher in listings. And I can't say for sure. Actually, Wendy, honestly, I can't say for sure whether they're offering that for individual people as opposed to just businesses as well. I thought you could do it as an individual, but I can't say for sure. So I apologize for that. Yeah, it's like an ad. Unsatisfied items or broken items. So I'll talk about insurance a little bit later, because that is a really good question. What I'll say as far as kind of unsatisfied customers is that the nice thing about eBay is that they're there as an intermediary. So you know, when it comes to things like dealing with people, eBay's there to sort it out for you. Now, the insurance thing is a slightly different thing, and so I don't want to mention it yet because I'm going to mention it later. But as far as like people who aren't happy with your thing, this is why when I talk about things like putting in a full description or putting in, you know, detailed photos, that way you're kind of covering your rear, because you're saying, hey, you know, when they go to eBay and they say, hey, this was not as promised, then you go to eBay and you say, well, it's exactly what I wrote up. This person is incorrect, and eBay can be on their side. I was going to say something else about that. Oh yeah, so you can also say whether you accept returns, and most people, individual sellers, don't accept returns as a default. You know, but you can say that you're willing to accept returns as an option for you. So there is that. But yeah, and that is the nice thing about having eBay as a referee, is that they're there to protect sellers. They're more on the seller side than the buyer side, arguably. Insurance is something different, and we'll talk about that later in case your item gets injured. But definitely put everything in your description, put everything in your photos, and take good photos of everything, just to you know, cover yourself. Okay, let's move on a little bit. I can tell you, my wife bought some plates recently where half of them came shattered, and we went back to the person who sold it to them. I can't remember what. There's a lot of back and forth. You know, you can communicate with buyers and sellers, and you generally want to make people happy. Occasionally, there will be scammers, of course, and that's one of the reasons why it's nice to have eBay as an intermediary. But you know, a lot of it is going back and forth, and you know, insurance is an option. We'll talk about that later. And I don't know whether this person had insurance or not, but we ended up working something. They may have even given us a total refund. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but we were able to work that out with them. So Craigslist is for selling locally. Craigslist exists in basically every kind of city around the United States. And a local version, you actually don't need an account on Craigslist in order to sell on it, although it helps you with some management stuff if you do have an account. It's free to list on Craigslist. It's like I said, earlier, it's like your local classifieds in your newspaper that are barely there anymore. It's those types of kind of local listings I see it as. If you list a larger vehicle, they charge you $5. Most things are free to list. And then the way it works, things are listed for 7 days, and they keep getting pushed down the feed of items that are listed. You can renew them after 48 hours, and they go to the top of that feed. And then once they hit 30 days, after basically renewing it for as many times as you want, then it's done. You would have to relist an item. So let's look at Craigslist. Craigslist is a funny site. It's, you know, a real old chestnut of a site. It looks like this. If you remember how Yahoo used to look when it started out, it's, you know, a lot of text. I think they only recently came out with an app. They didn't have an app for a long time, which is really bizarre in this day and age. So there is a for sale section that looks like this, and you can go into that for sale section. And I always like looking at boats. I don't know anything about boats, but fun to look at boats. Say how far you want them to be from your house. It is Chicagoland. One thing I didn't point out on this page is it says Chicago at the top, so it is Chicagoland. I'll go ahead and click on boats, and you know, maybe I don't want to go too far for my boat, local boat owner. So I'll say I want to search within 10 miles from my zip code. Get some boats. There's a nice Bass Tracker TXW Pro located about 2.7 miles from me. If I click on that, and they say $1,000 in the top left-hand corner, $1,000 there. Shows me generally where it's located in Chicago. And this one, they only gave me one picture, but you can put up multiple pictures. They have a description on the bottom. That's different. Usually people don't put their personal email in there, because the way that Craigslist works, and this is actually kind of a nice feature. Let's say I want to either look at this boat or offer them money on this boat. I can hit reply. Well, lately, it's been taking me a couple clicks to hit reply. Try this one more time. There we go. I've got to walk through a little CAPTCHA. That'll be fun for all of us. Each image containing a car. All right, these cars, these are all cars, I think. That one is a car. Each image containing a car. Boy, this is fun to do in front of a class. All right, so once I hit reply to that person, it'll give me an option to show the email. And I'll see the email, and you can see this email that it lists for this person. There's a whole bunch of gobbledygook letters and numbers at sale.craigslist.org. So I would send an email to this person, and I would say, I'm interested in the boat. Can we talk about it? Whatever. But it doesn't give me their real email. It just gives us fake one. And then you, as a seller, you would get the email in your regular email that's registered with or that's listed with Craigslist. And but the buyer wouldn't be exposed to your regular email. So it's a way of keeping your email private, which is kind of a nice feature, kind of, you know, gives you some privacy. So when you're ready to list on Craigslist, oh, I don't know why I went to Springfield's Craigslist. Come on, Craigslist. There we go. Springfield. Why is it listing for Springfield? This has never happened to me before. That's interesting. It's supposed to be reading my location. Huh. Okay. Well, let's pretend that it's not. It doesn't matter right now. We will go ahead and create a posting. Okay. I'm going to click on create a posting up here. What am I doing? I'm doing a for sale by owner. And I'll choose the thing I'm doing, the thing I'm selling. So you'll see a couple of them cost money. Cars and trucks cost money to list. Motorcycles and scooters cost money to list. But most other stuff is free. So I'll go ahead and say that I want to sell a boat. I don't know why they don't charge for a boat. They charge for those other ones. So I am doing I'm going to make up, maybe there's a boat called a Seagull. I have no idea. Seagull yacht, we'll call it. You boat owners are like thinking I'm an idiot right now. Okay, I'm going to post it for $2,000. It's text. If it's in black, you don't have to put it in here. So I don't have to put in my city or neighborhood, but if it's green, I have to put in something. So I'm going to put in 60076 where I live. This is a beautiful seaworthy vessel, whatever I want to put in there. Once again, have to fill out the green. So maybe it's 50 feet and it is a power boat and it's in English. Now, it's got my email here, but as it says, replies use the mail relay, which means they give me that gobbledygook letters and numbers. If I wanted to, I could give my cell phone number and people could text me. And, you know, up to you. I generally don't like to do that, but it's up to you. I'm going to say continue. And they're going to show my general area of where I'm located. Fine. I don't know that anybody cares. It seems like a silly feature. I don't know why it's reading me in Springfield right now. Okay, this is more typical. We're in North Chicagoland. Sorry, it just switched me over. There's that problem with reading me in Springfield for some reason. So I have to walk through this one more time. This is a boat. Okay, there we go. My Seagull yacht. Say continue. Continue. And then I'll put up photos. Similar thing to any internet thing where pick some photos from your computer, upload them. Same deal as eBay. And then when it'll be a draft until I say publish, and then when I'm ready to go, we'll publish. So once this is published, this will show up for people searching Craigslist. People can go and contact me directly using that email. Now, a couple things about Craigslist that are worth mentioning. So, you know, whereas before we had eBay kind of working out issues with us, with Craigslist, you're dealing face-to-face with people and you're dealing with a cash-only business. So there are it has a reputation for having a lot of scammers, but you're going to want to accept cash on Craigslist. In theory, they could send you PayPal or they could send you Venmo or any of those. But really, it is a face-to-face cash business. You get a decent amount of people who are going to have scams where they want to offer you checks. I've seen that almost every time I've listed on eBay or on Craigslist, and they'll do things like say, you know, you've got that thing listed for $2,000. I'll give you a check for $3,000. I'll pay you more than you want because I want it so much. And they'll show up with either a cashier's check or, you know, some type of stolen check. And there's almost going to be, you know, they're almost always a scam. So anyway, Craigslist says don't accept checks. I say don't accept checks. Other people will tell you don't accept checks. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that at a certain point, you are going to probably meet up with these people face to face. A lot of towns have designated areas that are for eBay or that are for Craigslist transactions. The police departments in a lot of towns, they've got signs that say that they're Craigslist zones, things like that. So you can meet in that public space or meet, if that's not available, potentially at a parking lot with well-lit parking lot with cameras, things like that. Up to you whether you would want to invite them to your home, but generally it's a good idea to meet in a public place. And hopefully you in that type of place, you'll discourage any type of people from grabbing your thing and running off with it, which has happened on occasion. The other thing you get that's a little less dramatic, but it's equally annoying, you get a lot of kind of flaky people who say, oh yeah, I'll be there at 7, wherever you say, show up there, you wait half an hour, they never show up, you text them, you never hear from them again. Good number of flaky people that I've had to deal with on Craigslist as well. But not to end that on a negative note, a lot of people still use Craigslist. It is decent for local. I like the next option a little bit better for local sales. I'll tell you why in a minute. Any kind of thoughts or questions about Craigslist before I move on? Maybe still typing, in which case I will come back to it. The next one I want to mention is Facebook, which is turning out to be a really good option for you, for us, for me, for local selling. Basically a Craigslist competitor. You do have to have a Facebook account in order to sell on it. So if you are anti-Facebook and not ready to make that plunge, then you would need to find somebody else to sell this stuff for you. But that being said, if you're on Facebook, you do have a big marketplace available. Now, there are a couple different options on Facebook. Marketplace is the big one, and Marketplace is also, so like I said, it's basically a Craigslist competitor. They're also moving to become an eBay competitor. So they will, on a number of different categories, allow you to sell and offer shipping. And there's a 5% fee on the final sale for shipping. My opinion is that Facebook Marketplace is not quite there as an eBay competitor. They don't have some of the safety features built in that eBay has. That being said, it's there for you. And if you wanted to try it, go for it. I haven't done it yet. And actually, I have had difficulty making it work for me. But for selling stuff locally, it is free. So that kind of Craigslist competitor part is free. You can do it from the website or the app, but generally the way it works is people interested in buying your stuff interact with you through Messenger, which is the instant messaging functionality that's either on the bottom right-hand corner if you use the website, or it's a separate app if you use your phone or your tablet, Facebook Messenger. Now, also worth noting is that there are buy and sell groups out there as well that are really good for kind of targeting either very local people or targeting people who have kind of specific interests in the types of things you're selling. So I'm going to show you both of these. But to start with, I want to point out Facebook Messenger, or I'm sorry, Facebook Marketplace. It looks like this little store on the left here. It says Marketplace. On your phone or your tablet, it'll have that little, it'll be on the bottom. It will be a little storefront. Maybe you've noticed it before, maybe not. But go ahead and click on Marketplace. They're going to show me some pics, but I can go in there and say that I want to, for example, buy a couch. I can target how far away from me I want to look. So in this case, I have it set up within 10 miles of my house. I can, maybe I'm getting too much stuff and I only want to go 5 miles to pick up that couch. I can apply it there. Then I'll get a bunch of ads here, locals. If it's something, some places are, like I said, there's shipping stuff, so you may see stuff from other places here as well. Let's say I'm interested in this beautiful two-piece sectional. I can click on that, see the details about it. It says green. It does not look green to me, does it? Maybe I'm colorblind. It says color is more green than in photo. Okay, so I'll take their word for it. They maybe need to upgrade their camera. Here's the nice thing about using Facebook to sell and to buy as compared to Craigslist. First of all, I can see the seller here. Okay, Allison is selling. I can see that she joined in Facebook in 2009, so she's not some fly-by-night person. She's been on Facebook for over 10 years. We even have a mutual friend. Look at that. We have a mutual friend on Facebook. Facebook Marketplace is starting to give people reviews as far as kind of how good of sellers they are using whatever criteria that they've got. I can even click on Allison's name and look at her face, and some people have written reviews. So people said fair pricing, item description, things like that. I can see other stuff that she's listed. I can even see her profile. And depending on how locked down she has as a profile, you know, I can even see other pictures, her family and stuff like that. So I can get a nice kind of snapshot of Allison Rickett before I actually do an interaction with her. Now, all this privacy stuff is determined by you on Facebook. So you as a seller, you could lock it down a lot more than Allison did, so that people don't see most stuff about you. That being said, from the perspective of before you interact with people, you do have the potential option of doing a little bit of investigation with them on Facebook and you know, seeing if they're the type of people you'd like to interact with before you do it. And then if I'm interested in it, I can send her a message through Messenger, say that couch looks great, can I come see it, and get more details, make her an offer, all that kind of stuff, all done through Messenger. So it's very easy to list your items on Marketplace. You can just hit create new listing, item for sale. Click on this to add photos. give it a title, great dishes, price, choose a category for it. I'm just going to pick a random one. Condition, brand, description, et cetera, and then you can go ahead and hit publish, or actually there's one more screen, hit publish, and then this will go out in Marketplace for people to buy. So that's local marketplace, which is, you know, the competitor for Craigslist. Two other things that you'll want to consider for listing stuff is that there are garage sale groups, which are local groups specifically for people selling stuff. So what you can do is you can go search, for example, Lincolnshire garage sale. And then go to groups. And you can see that there's what's called a private group with over 1,000 people in it called Lincolnshire Garage Sale. You can click on that or move your mouse over and ask to join the group. Because it's private, you do need to be accepted into it, but they'll accept you no problem, usually like within a day. And then this garage sale group, you can either post individual items for sale, or if you're having a garage sale, you can post pictures of your garage sale, which is a really nice feature. You know, if you want to kind of pre-publicize a garage sale, put it out there, put pictures of your garage sale in this Lincolnshire group. And then that's all people from Lincolnshire and around who want to buy your stuff. Now, one other really useful type of group is a for sale group in Facebook. And then that's if you want to get an audience kind of beyond Chicagoland who are interested in whatever niche item you've got. And I always go, the last one I did G.I. Joes. This time I'll do Barbies. So let's say I've got a great Barbie collection, you know, used to love to play with them, but I've outgrown it. I'm gonna go ahead and search Barbie dolls. I'll search Barbie dolls for sale, and I'll go ahead and choose groups. And you'll see that there's a whole bunch of Barbie doll groups: Barbie, buy, trade, sale, everything related to Barbie, use Barbie dolls for sale, collectible Barbies for sale, even ones with specific years. So this is only the classic Barbies, 1959 to 1974. So you can go ahead and join these groups. They're private and you can be accepted to them. And these are more informal. So everybody in these groups is a Barbie doll seller or buyer or trader. You know, maybe this is something you're active in and you want to trade stuff. So you can go in these groups, take this collection that you inherited and put in the group. In here, it'll be a Venmo or a PayPal type transaction. And there's a lot of kind of trust stuff going on in these groups because it's, you know, everybody are members of these groups and they have common interests. So you'll go ahead and you'll list stuff for sale in there. People will offer you some money through Messenger, and then they'll do something like PayPal you at for whatever price, and then you'll mail it to them for the most part, unless they're local. So a lot of good ways to list on Facebook. It's really becoming my favorite way to list items. For me, I've done some larger items, you know, stuff like I did an old bed. My son is 6'2", so he's outgrown a regular sized twin bed, and I sold his old bed on Facebook, put it in my garage, and people came and gave me cash for it. Sold a big media console, put it out in my garage. So there was that face-to-face still, which we could do somewhere else or at my house. In this case, I'm not going to haul a media console to the local Target parking lot. So there is that face-to-face thing going on. But I've also gone into some of my interest groups for buying and selling and listed unique Blu-rays and CDs and stuff like that. Any thoughts, questions, or comments on Facebook Marketplace before I move on? If you're a member of groups, do items that you're looking for show up in Marketplace searches? Yeah, so that's an interesting question, because what you can do when you list an item is you can, when you list I didn't finish listing that item, but the next screen would have been, first of all, choosing the places where I list it. So when I listed that item, I would say I want it in Marketplace and I want it in these groups. So maybe I also want it in the garage sale group, or maybe even one of my other specialized groups. If I do it that way, then it will show up in multiple groups. If I just list it in Marketplace, then it's just listed in Marketplace. So when you list it, you would have to, yeah, you can put it in a bunch of groups. So if you're a member of 10 Barbie doll groups, then after you do that initial listing, the next screen says Marketplace on the top, and then it gives you a bunch of groups to select. And that's, you know, a good way to do it, or at least the local garage sale group and Marketplace. Good question. I haven't had that one before. That is a good question. So one other one that I want to mention that is very kind of informal and casual, but it's really, like I said, it's nice for that neighborly feel. Closest thing to having a garage sale is Nextdoor. And maybe some of you are members of Nextdoor. Maybe you've heard of it or you know that it exists. Nextdoor is kind of a very local social network. So the idea with Nextdoor is you are on a social network with truly your next door neighbors. You're not just arguing politics with some dude in Oklahoma anymore. You know, you're on a, maybe you're arguing politics with some dude in Lincolnshire. Either way, they're actually your neighbors. So Nextdoor confirms your address when you apply. So you go to the Nextdoor website, nextdoor.com, you say that you want to get an account. There are a couple ways to prove your address. One is they just send you a card and then you either mail it back in or go to the website. And that way it proves that you live where you live and you're part of a community next door. And actually a lot of towns are broken up. I don't know about Lincolnshire, you know, each town is, I can't see Lincolnshire. It's not open to me. I'm in Skokie. So in my community in Skokie, we've got a whole bunch of school districts. I've got my school district, and then I can do all of Skokie, or I can do Skokie and surrounding neighborhoods. And it has a lot of stuff like beyond selling, it'll have stuff like coronavirus information, you know, shots are opening up, or recommendations. You need a plumber, and people will recommend plumbers, or somebody saw some wild animals walking down their street, a coyote, and they'll put it out there as well. So that is out there for you as well. I'll show you what Nextdoor looks like. You know, it's that nice neighborly feel. I shouldn't use that word nice because before the last election, it wasn't entirely nice. But we're past the election now, so it may be nice for a couple of years. Here we go. I go in. First thing I see is somebody selling some IKEA shelves for $10. So she lives in Skokie, Northwest Skokie. I would click on this item, look at the photos, send her a message. A lot of people giving away stuff too. Oh, look at that. I don't even know what a wedding slip is. I'm afraid to ask, but apparently you can get one for free. She's in my school district. I could message her. So a lot of people do that type of thing. And here's a couple of tables, things like that. So I can go in, say that I want to do a post, choose the category of my post, for sale and free, what type of thing I'm listing, great car, price, description, add photos, put my listing up there. People on Nextdoor will get an email, they'll get notifications, they'll get slowly pushed down the list over time, and then they'll just contact me through Nextdoor using the Nextdoor messaging ability. So, you know, if you're looking, actually, I forgot to mention one thing also, which was they say who can see this item. So in this case, if I'm listing item for sale, I can say only, actually, hold on. I just messed something up. Hold on a sec. I'm going to post a for sale item. There we go. So who can see it? Just my neighborhood, which should just be my school district. And, you know, that's probably a little limited for what I'm trying to sell. My nearby neighborhoods, which will probably be the rest of Skokie and parts of Lincolnwood, parts of Evanston, I think. You can actually choose specific neighborhoods if you want, or they have what's called your broader local area, and they never define that, but it's really just like local suburbs around you. So if you're looking to get, you know, in my case would be, I guess in your case, probably two, the North Shore, I think, anyway, around me, it would be a bunch of North Shore suburbs, and then that would go out to that slightly broader audience. So, you know, you can kind of decide for yourself how big an area you want to list this in, and then it'll go out in this feed, and people can get the stuff this way. And once again, you know, it's not just selling stuff, although I'm getting an awful lot of stuff for sale, but it'll also be this person's looking for a handyman or handywoman, those types of things. Any questions or thoughts about Nextdoor? I feel compelled to mention Amazon. Amazon has a huge catalog. Maybe you've got an item that is brand new or used and unique and out of print listed in Amazon's catalog. So maybe it makes sense for you to list it. And you'll see this stuff occasionally. You'll go to, you're looking, in my case, I'm always looking for CDs. I was just looking for a Tammy Wynette CD that somebody has listed on Amazon for $100 because it's out of print, and I'm not paying $100 for this Tammy Wynette CD. But anyway, it's in the catalog. So if I had been searching on Google for this CD, it would have brought me to the Amazon listing, and people can sell it individually. It's not just, you know, Amazon is just kind of like a middle person for that type of selling. The fees involved are quite complex, between 6 to 20% of the final fee, and then it costs more if you're selling media plus an extra 99 cents. So they're fairly complex. Amazon doesn't have a reputation for being particularly friendly towards individual sellers, so I might hold back on selling it. But if you're interested in getting that type of exposure, Amazon is certainly something that you could consider. So some of the other sites that are worth mentioning. This is not comprehensive. Somebody always catches me with a question of either a type of thing that they're trying to sell or a site that they want to know about. So somebody actually in the chat room mentioned one of these. I didn't respond to it because I knew that I would get to it eventually. But Etsy is out there for crafts. And actually, before I go on, Kathy asked a good question about Facebook. Facebook Messenger is private. I should have emphasized that when I was talking about it. It's like instant messaging on your phone or anything like that. It's person-to-person messaging. So nobody else will be able to see it. Thank you for that question. I'm glad you made me emphasize that. So Etsy is a crafts and vintage site. A lot of people kind of set up small stores for their little businesses where they do crafty types of things on Etsy. Like I bought an arm cover for the armrest in my car after mine got worn. This person has this whole little store, but also individuals selling individual things, basically crafty things or vintage things. Etsy is out there as an option as well. And you know, there is a charge to sell through Etsy. Somebody asked about selling art, and you know, once again, well, I shouldn't, you know, be careful if it's fine art and it's truly worth something. At that point, you may want to get somebody involved who knows what they're doing. That being said, Ruby Lane is a site that's out there for antiques, for fine arts, for vintage, for jewelry. It's kind of positioned itself as an eBay for the fine arts world and for antiques. I don't have very much that's worth a whole lot, or that's particularly old, so I haven't used it, but it is out there with a good reputation for that type of audience. So Mark, you may want to look at that. eBay also does a good job with collectibles themselves, but once again, you know, be careful with it. Now, Bonanza and OfferUp are a couple, you know, they're going to be competitors to eBay, and they're going to be competitors to Craigslist and these types of things. So certainly Bonanza and OfferUp are worth considering. The one that I threw out that I said I've had people ask 2 in a row that I don't have on here because I don't think they've got a great reputation is Mercari, but maybe that's one that you've heard of. Bonanza is like eBay, but I think it's a little bit cheaper to list. OfferUp, there used to be a place called Let Go, and that merged with OfferUp. OfferUp offers both an eBay type selling and a local Craigslist type selling. It kind of looks like Pinterest if you've ever used Pinterest. And both of these are kind of, in my eyes, my mind, they're kind of a little bit more millennial, kind of focused and millennial friendly in that they largely use apps to list and use, they're very kind of picture friendly in using them. I will say OfferUp is apparently supposed to be a little bit cheaper to use than eBay, and it's free for local listings. I think it's free for the Craigslist type stuff, and then if it's a ship thing, there is a charge for it. They also have an identity confirmation system that a lot of people like the idea of, where when you set up an account on OfferUp, you do need to do things like show a driver's license and other stuff to prove that you are who you are. Shopify, I always throw on here for those of you who may want to actually offer a shopping website because you got a little business. Shopify is where you can do that. Clothing and luxury goods, there are a few nice options out there that are gaining reputations. ThreadUp and The RealReal are both consignment. The way ThreadUp works is if you have a bunch of clothes, in our case, we had a bunch of toddler clothes or baby clothes or whatever they were, you contact ThreadUp, they send you a bag, you throw them in a bag, ship them to ThreadUp, and then ThreadUp deals with all the selling. It's consignment, so only when they sell stuff, they give you money. Stuff they can't sell, they end up donating. So that's kind of one of the things is if you sell it to them, you may or may not get all the money that you think you deserve because stuff they can't sell, they end up donating. You don't get any kind of write up for that. So yeah, we had mixed experiences using ThreadUp, but it is easy to sell through ThreadUp. You don't have to do a list, take all the time to do a listing for each item. Throw stuff in a bag and sell it. Poshmark, if you have nice clothes and you want to sell them, Poshmark is focused on nice. On selling clothing. The RealReal is consignment for luxury goods. So, you're finally getting rid of those Gucci and Versace items that you've been hanging on to and you've got nowhere to wear them right now or use them. You can go on the RealReal, and the RealReal has a system for confirming that these things are actually what they are and they're not knockoffs. Other sites out there as well that are, somebody's asking about sites to sell art. There may even be a website specifically for selling art that I don't know of. That very well could be beyond something like Ruby Lane, but StubHub for tickets. They make it easy for you to automatically send people tickets. AutoTrader for cars. You're looking to get rid of an old computer, an old phone. Swappa and Gazelle is really nice for if you have an old. Say you have an old iPhone that's 2 or 3 years old. People are looking for 3-year-old iPhones because they still work very well. And if you've got one in good condition, Gazelle will send you a box, send you money. You just send it to Gazelle and then they sell it for you. So let's wrap it up with some overall selling tips. First of all, you do want to include a lot of pictures of the items that you're selling and point out both the features and the flaws. So nobody can come back to you and say that you didn't mention it. Include all the possible keywords that people might search for in your listing. If you're listing records, you can do records, LPs, vinyl. I'm missing something, but I usually have 4 of them. Put all that stuff that people may search on. If people send you emails or other communications, you do want to respond to them very quickly. Don't leave them hanging. The rule of thumb, there's not an official rule of thumb with how quickly you need to ship. And actually, eBay won't do anything about your shipping speed until I think 30 days. So they won't enforce anything for a while. But that being said, 2 to 3 days for shipping, I would say. Get that label printed within a day or two and get that to the mail service within 2 or 3 days. And eBay will well, hopefully the buyer will rank you fairly high with that. If you can't do it, you're on vacation or something like that, communicate with the buyer and let them know that that's the case. But I think 2 to 3 days is a good number of days to aim for. Certainly overpack your stuff as far as kind of using packing peanuts and bubble wrap and all that type of stuff. If you're sending that fine piece of art through the mail, that's when you may want to do something like the UPS store and talk to them as far as how to use the get stuff packaged well. And then on Craigslist, Facebook, and Nextdoor, once an item has been sold, you do need to unmark them and mark them as sold on that item. So cash and PayPal are really, or Venmo or Zelle, are really the only types of currency that you're going to take. Meet Some Are Safe, we already talked about that, and a lot of these services do have their own built-in email service. So when it comes to sending these items, somebody just asked whether you need to buy special label paper, and the answer is no. So the way that this works is once you go on to, as far as at least eBay, once you go onto eBay and buy that postage, then you just print out the paper on your regular printer. And it's generally, I don't know, it's maybe 3 inches by 5 inches, something like that. Put it on top of your box. Use the packing, the packing tape in order to do it. You don't have to use a sticker or anything like that. You can just use regular paper and use that packing tape in order to do it. Now, all the services that you use will on eBay will have built-in package tracking. They'll give you the number. So the second that you buy it, that number is available both for you and for the person who bought it, so they can track the item, and you can tell that it's been delivered because it does have that tracking number. Now, if you really want to, you can require signature. I can't think of many cases where you'd want to do that, and if anything, it's more annoying than safe, especially since you have package tracking, because if the people aren't home, then they have to go to the post office in order to get it, and nobody really likes that. Now, as far as shipping insurance goes, most of the services that you choose will include shipping insurance. With UPS and FedEx, they give you up to $100 of shipping insurance for free. With the Postal Service, they'll give you up to $50 for free. Now, and that's through the Postal Service. There are certain instances where they don't give you free insurance, like media mail. If you're like me and you're shipping a lot of stuff through media mail, then insurance is not included with it. And if you're going over, if you're selling a $200 item and you want to buy another $100 worth of insurance, you can do that. You're going to be paying for it. Now, eBay has its own insurance product, basically ShipCover it's called. And from what I hear, I've never had to claim insurance. I bought it a couple times. I've never had to claim it. Apparently getting your insurance paid with the Postal Service can be tricky. The ShipCover insurance through eBay supposedly is easier to get paid. So, a couple bucks to get $50 worth of insurance beyond whatever is included on yours. So it's not a bad idea. It's impossible for me to advise on insurance because, you're either the type of person who buys life insurance and who buys travel insurance and that type of stuff and never uses it unless, one particularly bad thing happens, or you're not the type of person to do it. But certainly there is an option beyond what's included. And then when that item is packed and ready to go, worth it to take detailed pictures of it in the package with all the bubble wrap and things like that. So when, hopefully this never happens, but if somebody comes back and says, oh, this was destroyed, you've got the photos of that thing packed perfectly that you can then give to either eBay or to the UPS or whomever and show them that that thing was packed perfectly. Okay. What kind of questions, thoughts, comments, questions do you all have for me? Because that's what I've got for you. We'll sit here patiently for a minute, give you a chance. If we were in the room together, you'd all be yelling at me, I know, but maybe you're slowly typing it on your phone, or else you're done and ready to get to dinner, which I can't really argue with, or ready to clear out your basement. Either way, I will go ahead and put in my email one more time into the chat room, mike@vspchicago.com. So PayPal, somebody says that they don't want to use PayPal because of fees. So overall, I recommend, so there are a bunch of different kind of things I have to mention about this. First of all, when you are using eBay to sell, the PayPal that people are using to pay, there are no fees that are passed on to you. Okay, all your fees are just what you're paying to eBay. So in that case, you won't be dealing with any fees. Previously, you used to deal with PayPal fees, but that doesn't apply anymore. Now, as an individual, the way that PayPal works is if you're sending money to friends, there's no fee. So if you want to just send somebody some money through PayPal, and that's not using a credit card. If you're sending money from your bank account to your kid at college, no fees. If you're sending money from your checking account, then there is a fee for using it. But overall, I do like PayPal specifically from purchasing from websites, because in that case, you don't have to give your credit card to every single website you visit. You can give your credit card, to PayPal, and they have great security. And then the websites that you visit, you just say that you want to use PayPal in order to do it. And there's no extra fee in order to purchase from these websites. So Gene, you say that it sounds like Venmo. Not only does it sound like Venmo, PayPal owns Venmo. So for all intents and purposes, Venmo and PayPal are essentially the same thing. So PayPal is a little bit more dressed up, And actually, it's funny. PayPal tends to, people see it as more of a business product. And I just got today an email saying that they're finally letting you set up business accounts for Venmo. So the one main difference I see is people are really into the, they'll send a Venmo payment and it'll be public to everybody, and it'll say, oh, I sent Johnny money for lunch, repaid Johnny money for lunch, something like that, silly stuff like that. But yeah, it is essentially the same company, although Venmo has kind of more of a person-to-person hat, and PayPal has more of a business hat. But that being said, as the fees are essentially, I'm not going to say they're the same because I haven't looked at the specific fees, but very similar. If you've got a business, so in my case, I've got a business and account with PayPal. If I went to a client's home and I charge them on their credit card using my PayPal account, PayPal takes 2-point-something% off the top of that. So in that case, there's a fee. Most of these fees are around using credit cards and business type purchases, though. Although, once again, if you go to a website and they accept PayPal, you're not being charged in that instance. You're just using a regular PayPal in order to do it. But that's something good to keep your eye on.
All right, that's pretty awesome. You're sitting here talking and I'm looking around my house at all the stuff I could sell.
All right, well, you got something out of it too. All right, I like to hear it.
All right, well, that was great, Mike. Thanks for presenting that for us, and again, for sharing your contact info. So if anybody has questions, they're free to reach out to you.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. Well, it's 8:15. Time to end the show for the night. Thank you all for coming, and look out for the video that we post on our YouTube. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for coming, everybody. Appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night.